Today we are going to begin a new siman Tafresh Sadi Beis in hilchos Purim. Very relevant halachas pertaining to the Megillah, which apply to not just people who are the Baal Koreh, person who's laying the Megillah, but most of the people who are there, aka the listeners. The tour begins by saying that someone who reads the Megillah, this is the Baal Koreh, of course. So we're talking about that you make three brachas before you begin from the Megillah. Bracha number one, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu mizav v'tzivanu al mikra Megillah. That's one bracha. Al mikra Megillah. You commanded us to read the Megillah. Bracha number two, Sha'asa Nisim. That, of course, is Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. And then you say, Sha'asa Nisim Lavasenu, and then the third bracha, which is going to be the most questionable, is the bracha of Shechianu. Of course, which the reason why this is a major discussion is because how many times is this bracha recited? We know that according to everyone, this bracha is certainly recited the first night. The question is this bracha repeated again the next day? We obviously have many examples, such as Sukkot. We only recite the Shechianu at night when we go in the Sukkah, not during the day again. So we have to figure out the potential reasons, or not the potential, the reasons as to why this bracha would be repeated or not, and what would be the logic behind that. The Torah continues by quoting Rabbeinu Tam. Cuts Rabbeinu Tam's out. Sha'af b'yom tzarich levarach shechianu she'ikar mitzvahs kriyas b'yom. So the Torah straight up quotes Rabbeinu Tam, who says that during the day, Shechianu needs to be recited again, because the main mitzvah is during the day. And this we actually learned about in the past. If I'm not mistaken, it was some in Tafresh Pei Zion. Which laning is more important? We discussed that in the past. So this is the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam, who holds that you do it again. Rambam says you don't do it again. You don't say Shechianu again during the day. Now, the way that the Rambam is quoted by the Torah is there's no reason, there's no rationale. He doesn't explain the reasoning. Reasoning kipshuto, pashut pshat of the Rambam as to why you don't say another Shechianu. You already said it. Why do you need to say it again? It's a simple explanation of the Rambam. You said it once, done, similar to Sukkah. But my master, my father, the Rosh, agrees with Rabbeinu Tam. Says the says the Torah. Says the Torah that my father agrees with Rabbeinu Tam, aka Shechianu should be repeated again. Ve'ein nohagin kain. Says the Torah, that's not the custom. The custom is not to say Shechianu during the day of Purim. If you look at this little vase over here, this brings us down to the Hagois v'ha'aris. B'defus min tuva she'lun no clue what that is, hagirsa ve'ino hagin kain ela b'sarfat nagu k'Rabbeinu Tam. They have a different text. They say we don't have this custom, but in Spain, they do have this custom, like Rabbeinu Tam, to say Shechianu again. So there's different ways of learning this Torah. They're like adding a little bit. Sarfat is France? It might be France. I don't know. Anyways, the way that this text, this added text, comes in is that it totally changes what the intention of the Torah is. Because the Torah says you don't say it. This is basically the discussion with the Shechianu, the Beis Yosef quotes this Rambam. First of all, he quotes the Taisvus, the Rosh, Mordechai, the Gemara Megillah and Davdalit over there, about repeating the Megillah a second time, seemingly Shechianu also you do another time. But the Rambam says you don't do it again. What's his reasoning? Similar to Sukkah. B'taimu kedashkicha b'sukkah shemevarach Shechianu b'layla ve'inu choyze levarach b'yom v'chein pashra minug. In Sukkot, we just say Shechianu at night. We don't do it again during the day.
But separate mitzvah lulav, you do.
Lulav, you do, correct. But on the actual holiday itself.
100%,
Yeah.
so could be that's why you're doing it.
Lulav, you don't double dip on Shechianu. You do it once. You do it the first time you perform the mitzvah.
Right.
Where else do we find, the Rambam would say, anywhere where you're saying Shechianu twice on the same new mitzvah, so to say?
But that's why maybe they're saying that you have in mind the other mitzvahs of the day.
I want to pose the question now because you brought it up. It's a well-known halacha, and we're going to see in the Magen Avram, that when a person says the bracha of Shechianu, the Baal Koreh, and we listen to it, we should have in mind that it's going to cover. Actually, if you look in the Magen Avram, he only says Mishloach Manos and Suda. He doesn't say Matanas Sivyonim, but we'll come back to the Prima Gadam adds Matanas Sivyonim. He says that you should have those mitzvahs in mind. That's probably one of the most well-known halachas of all Purim, because usually a gabbai gets up and says, have in mind when the Shechianu is being said that it's going to cover all of the mitzvahs of the day of Purim. So my question is, then we're going to see this is going to be explicitly dealt with by the Prima Gadim in the Yeshua Avram and the first Magen Avram, Sivkat Aleph, which is, let's say, a person doesn't have a Megillah. Do they say Shechianu on those other mitzvahs or no?
Yeah. That person, yes.
You're asking yes? Okay. In other words, is Shechianu only enacted on the Megillah? It's just that now the other mitzvahs piggyback off of that mitzvah, and therefore we say, since you're already saying Shechianu anyways, have the other mitzvahs in mind. We're saying that there needs to be a Shechianu. It's just that the Shechianu was established to be done on Megillah, but if there's no Megillah, you would still do it. So you say you still do it? Or you say you still do it?
I don't, it's the way the Rav posed it. It's a hard to say yes or no.
So we're going to see. We're going to see. There's going to be a nice prima gadim on this, which is why one of the reasons why this siman is so applicable, so relevant. So how did that all come up? Because we were saying Shechianu at night. Shechianu covers everything, right? So the question is, which Shechianu? The question is, could the Shechianu at night, let's say you're going in the world of the Rambam. Say the Rambam. Right? If we're being Utam, we have a Rambam. Let's say you're going in the world of the Rambam. You're only saying Shechianu at night. So would that Magen Avram still apply? In other words, could you have in mind that the Shechianu at night will cover the mitzvahs during the next day, which could only be done during the day, such as the Suda, Purim, the Mishloach Manos, the Matanos, they can only be done during the day, or at least the Mishloach Manos, unless you send it before, but really it's the day. You're only filling your obligation of the mitzvah during the day, once the day comes. So you got something from the night before covering the day? Could you have a Shechianu from the night before? You'll say the day goes after the night, so it's still Vayir Vayiboker. It's the same day. So that is certainly what to discuss over here. Morning. I had a mental note. I gotta get a projector. What happened
to our old projector?
Yeah, I took it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta get one. If we had a projector, maybe more people will come also.
How would a projector help?
Someone remember he used to came. He said the only reason why I came is because the projector.
That's that guy.
Yeah. Anyways, let's take a look at the Darchim Moshe over here. The Darchim Moshe. You want to come here? No? You could see, no? Shemei Koine. The Darchi Moshe, switch faces? The Darchi Moshe over here quotes the Mordechai. Yeah, good idea. That works. I didn't know if the wire would extend. Okay, that works. Just go ahead for warming the chair up. So the Darchi Moshe over here quotes the Mordechai. He says, the Haram. This might be Meir Rutenberg, the Mordechai quotes. And this is a very interesting idea over here. Hayamavarach Shechianu Belachash. He would make Shechianu silently. This is obviously during the day. Toch Shakal Hayu Oinim Amin. Lafuke Midi Kol Rafusa. In other words, Rabbi over here, everyone was answering Amen to the other brachas in the Megillah. While they were answering, he quickly said Shechianu during the day to himself. In other words, in that place, they held like that you don't repeat it. That was the Rambam, right? They held like the Rambam. Excuse me, they didn't hold like the Rambam. They held like Rabbeinu Tam that you would repeat Shechianu again during the day. You would say it. However, excuse me, sorry, they held like the Rambam that you wouldn't. However, he wanted to go like Rabbeinu Tam. He wanted to say you got to say Shechianu, but he couldn't do it over there because that's not how they held. So what did he do? He said it silently. Is that incredible or what? He said it silently while they were answering Amen. The Maggid Mishnah says the custom is in our place to say this bracha even during the day, and that's our custom. Custom is to say this bracha during the day. That is our custom, to say Shechianu during the day. So we're going to see as these halachas develop what we do exactly on the floor. But it seems like you have a lot of opinions each way to do the Shechianu again during the day or not. So, but I found this very interesting. This was surprising. Quietly while they're answering, I mean, that I found interesting. Comes along the tour, and he discusses another topic over here.
That probably Lotus Code in it.
Lotus Code to do on
Say Shechianu quietly because you're doing.
Seems like not, but yeah, it's definitely what to think of over there.
I guess they didn't notice.
Why didn't they just wait?
Wait,
Why didn't they do it later?
because you do it before the Megillah. Shechianu is established before the Megillah.
We could have done it even, I guess, earlier, like not specifically that exact.
You have to do it before the Megillah. These brachas are on the Megillah.
I'm saying he can't do 5 minutes earlier. I guess it's specifically that time.
Yeah, right before you do the mitzvah. Yeah.
it's tough.
Not to interrupt.
Yeah.
And that obviously strengthens the argument, which we're gonna have to learn. If you don't have a Megillah, would you say Shechianu on the other mitzvahs of the day? So you kind of see already foreshadowing that no, Shechianu could only be said in the Megillah. It's just that it happens to cover the other mitzvahs also once you're already saying it. But if you don't have a Megillah, you just don't say Shechianu. That's an argument that way, which we'll have to see more about. The Torah continues and says, after the Megillah, in a place where they have the custom to make a bracha, you make a bracha. Nowadays, it's a custom to make a bracha after you're done with the Megillah. What bracha do you say? Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, hakel harav es rivenu, v'adan es tinenu, v'hanoikim es nikmasenu, v'hanifra alonu mitzareinu, v'mishalim gevul l'kol oivenu, l'kol oivei nafshenu. Basically talking about how Hashem will take care of all of our enemies. Now it says 5 different terminologies. If you ever want to stump someone with a question, you could ask this question, which the Beis Yosef asked this. There's 5 different terminologies that are used. Harav es rivenu, like he takes a vengeance. Hadan es dinenu, he judges our judgments. Hanoikim es nikmasenu, he takes revenge, so to say. V'hanifra alonu mitzvah, he pays back our enemies. V'hamishalim gemul, also pays back. our enemies. There's 5 different terminologies that are used. Seemingly, I could have cut this bracha and just said it once. What's the significance of the 5 terminologies?
Yeah, so each represents something.
Yeah, so that's this long base Yosef. He deals with that, giving a little explanation on this bracha. But another question is, wait, and then it ends Baruch Hashem Hanifra la'amul Yisrael Mikol Sareyam Akel Moshiach. Then you go Shah Shah Nazir, right? The obvious question is, the Ran asks, the Beis Yosef quotes of here, where's the Baruch? Baruch Ato Hashem. Why is there a Baruch? Right? It starts off, if we look at the text of the bracha, Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech Harav, etc. Why do you need a Baruch? Seemingly it's a bracha smuchu lechaverta. Because of Aran Yesh Latmu bracha zoy lama poisachas bebaruch shari hismucha the bracha shalfaneh. Dom Megillah Vade Loi Mavsako ki hechi de lo mavsako kriya shma bebracha said the mishum achi chashvina bracha chorna shelo smuchu lechaverta. In other words, Beis Yosef, the Ran over here, which Beis Yosef is quoting, is asking a very strong question over here. It's something that the Gemara in the 10th Perek Pesachim, I think around Kuf Vav discusses, which is a bracha smucha l'chaverta. Literally a bracha near its friend. If you have a bracha that is next to a bracha that ended with the baruch, you don't need to start that bracha with baruch. Right? The proof over here is Shema. You could do Shachris as an example. You could do Ma'ariv as an example. You have the second bracha in Shema, in Ma'ariv. Avas Lam Beis Yisrael. Why doesn't it start with Baruch? The answer is, it's considered it starts with Baruch because the previous bracha said Baruch Ata Hashem HaMa'ariv HaRofim. And now, what the Ran is addressing, wait a second, after Shema, right, Yishem, Ani Hashem Lokeichem Emes, Hashem Lokeichem Emes, and then you say V'amuna Kol Zos, etc., etc., it ends Baruch Ata Hashem Gal Yisrael. Where's the Baruch over here? How come it doesn't start with the Baruch? Huh? Why not? Why? How does this not start with Baruch? It ends Gal Yisrael.
They're saying it's a bracha smucha lechaverta.
That's interrupt.
Not
What's it next to?
Kriya Shema is not a answer.
Right? Kriyat Shema is an interruption, like we learned in Hilchos Kriyat Shema and Siman. What was it? Siman Samech Zayin. That was a suffix on Shema. We learned it somewhere over there. Samech Vav. In the Samech. Hilchos Kriyat Shema, we learned about that. Shema isn't a bracha. It isn't an interruption. It's needed. So we see, just like you could have this bracha smuchu l'chaverta business, and Shema is an interruption, Megillah isn't an interruption.
Even though it's huge.
Yeah, but it's not an interruption.
One's 30, second one's 167.
It doesn't matter. It's not an interruption. Ask the Ran, how could you do that? Why do you need to start with the Baruch? Yishloimer, Dai bracha achorina lav akriyas Megillah. Wow. So the Ran teaches us a fascinating insight that we can appreciate more when it comes to this bracha. This bracha of Haravis Rivenu, it's not going on the reading of the Megillah. It's not. Ela bracha b'fnei atzmo, sheniskana ala nes. It's an independent bracha that was established because of the miracle that we happen to say after we lay in the Megillah. It's a big chiddush. It's a good trivia question. What bracha do we say in the Megillah that doesn't have to do with the Megillah? Haravis Rivenu. Interesting Ran, huh?
Wait, how does that not have to do with the Megillah? I don't understand.
It has to do with the Nes. It's established on a Nes, the Ran says. It doesn't have to do with the Megillah. It's a chiddush of the Ran.
Oh. All right.
Yeah? If you're interested in the 5 different languages, go look at this next base. If we're not going to go through it, why there's 5 languages? It's interesting, but I'm not going to do it. Just wanted to point out that it's there, that it exists. The Torrance of Bays quotes the Bala Itter, Zal Kosov. Oh, sorry. Kosov Ramam Zal Lo Yamrina Hakel Arav, Al Arav Daha Amrina. Okay, fine. The technicality on the text. Bala Itter Zal Kosov. Mistabra. Kevan shebracha achrona b'minhag Talia milsa. Since the bracha achrona is dependent upon the custom of the location over there, in ligo b'misha sach prikriyasa. Don't rebuke, don't protest someone who speaks, who converses in the middle of this last bracha on the Megillah. The lav of Saki, it's not an interruption. Hela bakriya Talia milsa. You just can't interrupt in the actual laning of the Megillah. But this bracha is fine. You can interrupt him. Doesn't have to do with the Megillah. Ve'ein noy nira. Says the Torah, I disagree with that opinion of Rav Amram. The kiven shu mevarach sarich lo lahavsik. If you're making a bracha, you're not allowed to interrupt. Period. The ma'inaf kamina the talib b'minhag soifs of umavarach. What's the difference? If this bracha is said because of a custom or not, at the end of the day, you're saying the bracha, and therefore you're not allowed to interrupt.
That's the Balkori and people.
Correct. Listening, correct. Sif Gimel over here, the Torah quotes Misha Koyre L'chayla. This is very relevant. If you have a Baal Koyre and he is laning the Megillah for someone who is sick, or for women who didn't hear the Megillah yet, which is a whole discussion that we discussed in Siman Tafresh Pei Tes. That's it. Even though you already feel your obligation, you already heard or you already laying the Megillah somewhere else. Yevarach lahoitzi Misha Koreyalo. Say the bracha to fulfill the obligation of someone who you are laning for. The kaim along, because we hold brachas afal pish. Even though you already fulfill your obligation, you can fulfill the obligation of others. Now this is talking about if they can't make the bracha on their own. If they can make the bracha on their own, then they make the bracha on their own, as we discussed in the past. The Torah concludes this siman by quoting an interesting Tosefta, which is very interesting. Let's say post facto. A guy laying the Megillah. Doesn't matter if he was standing or sitting. Preferably, obviously, we stand. But let's say he did it while he was sitting. Whether you just said the brachas before the Megillah, not after, just after, not before, or whether you didn't say the brachas at all. The guy laying the Megillah sitting down with no brachas. Yatz. Yeah, but you fulfill your obligation. It's obviously not preferable. Preferable, you have the brachas. Preferable, you stand up. But if you didn't, says the Torah, quoting the Tosefta, you would fulfill your obligation.
You saying Ben Yoshe, that doesn't sound like whether 10 people or not. Makes them not community.
Yeah. There could be one person there. There could be 10,000 people there. It works. What, a hit and run?
Ah.
What is it? The ding dong ditch over here? Are we getting pranked? Bring back to the high school days over here. Okay. Comes along the Beis Yosef. Shai always loves it. I throw in a good line. Yeah. Kosav Chumas Adeshin. This is actually an interesting situation. Chumas Adeshin writes, Misha Haya. You guys doing it again?
Yeah.
This guy's issue. Hey. Kosav Chumas Adeshin. Comes along the Chumas Hadeshin. Mishahu onus ksas shelo yochel elech beis hachetz l'kliyas megilchim something hanted ba'avacher shekaru hakal. Oh, this was the shaila that you asked about, and this is the beginning of the shaila. We're going to learn more about this. Let's say someone has a slight pressure, extenuating circumstance. He can't go to shul, so he's going to need to wait until after everyone already heard the Megillah. He has to wait for another Baal Korah.
His train was.
So he's waiting much longer. What about a train?
So his train was delayed. He couldn't get back in time.
Well, not necessarily.
Not on us?
Yeah, it could be train. It could be train. Yeah.
Which train ride? What train ride was that?
A day or two ago, the LIR banged into a car. The whole thing went in flames. I think no one was killed though. But yeah, that's the thing.
Sometimes
It could happen. That delays. You had a delay, a travel delay. You had, New York traffic that was unexpected.
But travel between where and when?
So this guy, he's on his way to hear the Megillah, and he had a delay. Now, meanwhile, he's still fasting. He can't lane the Megillah. He's waiting for the Balakori to finish up, and then he's going to get a private laning.
We're talking about at night. We're talking about at night,
Yeah, Purim.
and we're talking about he made Abdullah and he's going to hear Megillah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wait, he didn't.
It's an interesting fellow, that guy. I don't know. What?
Who's the shadow?
Yeah. Third time's the charm. 3 strikes, you're out. That's it. We kick him out of the white here. All right. The Kachala. Shia loves the. This is how we get Shia to come back. We just get a guy to open the door a few times and then leave.
You put that guy.
Yeah, I paid the guy to do that. Okay. So what's happening over here? You got another guy now. All right, so what's happening? It's very difficult to fast. Y'all still, it's like scenery. They're coming in to see who's here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe if we had the projector, maybe they sit down. They don't.
Exactly.
Exactly. They see, oh, Torah Hakadosh.
More people.
Exactly. Who knows? Wow, scenery, unusual projection. Okay. So it's very difficult over here for him to fast. He says a chiddush. I don't think the case is that he's stuck in traffic. I think the case is that he knew before he wasn't going to be able to get in shul on time. Whatever it was, he knew before, you know? So now what could he do over here? So now he could have listened to the laning when it's still day. Listen when it's still day.
Oh.
Yeah. La'achar tefillas harvest. So he davens ma'ariv earlier. Mepaga mincha, the elach. He davens ma'ariv after paga mincha, and he could already the hainu shad review kodim laila. He davens ma'ariv already after paga mincha, and he could already hear the Megillah early, and he'll be good.
It's all a case of honest with the right?
Yeah. Honest ksas. It's not even a full one. The point is that extenuating circumstance, what we see bottom line from this halacha is 2 things. Number one, what we see from over here is the importance of not eating before laying in the Megillah. And we'll have to see exactly why. Because we didn't see that in this short Trumas Hadeshin piece that's being quoted over here. By the Beis Yosef. That's number one, what we see. Importance of not eating. Number 2, what we see is that technically you could already hear the Megillah or read the Megillah from Plaga Mincha, which is very early. If that's not an eye-opener, then I don't know what is. So that's interesting.
I think, I'm guessing it's not midin his dollar. I'm guessing it's midin that you're allowed to read the Megillah Yud Aleph Yud Beis Yud Gimel. Maybe that's the reason, not that it's really considered.
No, it's
You think
not.
he's coming down from that. It's Yud Aleph.
Yes, it's Yud Daled.
Even.
Yes. Remember, we learned when we were learning hilchos Abdallah. Person can make Abdallah from Plaga Mincha. Now, obviously, we said there's no Aish.
There's no Aish, and you still can't do Malacha.
For sure you can, but it could work. So you already see toying with the idea of technically, if necessary, you could daven from Plaga Mincha.
This guy is doing it better that he does it later. I'm saying like he has the option, he's stuck someplace, and he could do it pog, but maybe it would be better for him to do it.
He can't. He's on his success.
He's on his success, but we're not saying that you can't do it late. You can't do it regular time, right? Maybe you could do it an hour too late. I don't know.
Well, that's the problem. The Trumas Hadeshin, it's pretty clear from this Beis Yosef. The Trumas Hadeshin, they don't want you breaking your fast before laning.
Let him pass longer. He has to pass longer.
He's saying it's hard for him. So we're saying we're giving you now. We're saying it's better for you. This is what the Trumas Hadeshin is saying. It's better for you to hear Megillah earlier and break your fast after the Megillah in the appropriate time, rather than to break your fast before the Megillah, but hear the Megillah in the regular time.
Got it.
Now,
I would think the reverse, but
so would I.
Yeah.
So would I. So we're gonna have to see exactly the halacha. If the Magen Avram brings us up the Taz, the Mishnah Berurah, we're gonna have to see how we come out at the end of the day of this, because this is a surprising halacha, and then we really do need to see about breaking fast before Megillah. If we could come on to any leniencies on that, and what exactly is the big deal for that? After all, as we already learned in the first Simon Tough Reish paying off, that this Tainus Esther is the most lenient of all fasts. We said that. So, all right. So, Mitzvah Hashem, tomorrow we will begin the Shulchan Aruch and that, and very relevant halachas, such as the one that we already discussed, which is having in mind all the mitzvahs of the day on the Bracha of Shechian and Megillah, and additionally eating before and other halachas. So pick that up.
Shkoel.
Real
Yeah.
thank you.
All right,
Yeah.
have a great day. Bye, good to see you.
Okay,